Did you know that an HOA can take your house? Do you wonder why some investors stay away from HOAs? I'm gonna let you know right now. Can an HOA take your house? All right, so sometimes investors, they will stay away from communities that have an HOA. And the reason being, it interrupts the cash flow, or that you have to, from what I've seen and spoke with experienced investors, you have to check to see that if that HOA has sufficient funds. So in the event that maintenance needs to be done, they can cover it, because I was told if maintenance needs to be done and they can't cover it, what they can then do is go to the homeowners in that HOA and say, hey, well, we have to get new roofs in the community and we got a quote of $400,000. So therefore your HOA is no longer $150 a month, it's $1,050, and we can get this all paid in within 2 years. So I was told that the HOAs have that power. I heard a story here locally, whereas somebody on the HOA board had disappeared with the money. Of course, you know, they got caught, they go to jail, never works out, but they disappeared with the money. And so the HOA had to go back to the community and say, well, your fees are no longer $80 a month, it's $400 a month. And we know that 65% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So you come to me and say, wait, it was just $63 a month and now it's $400 a month. I don't have that, you know, oh, tough luck. And they can foreclose and, you know, take your house. But I'm here with Harry Marsh Law, and Harry Marsh is going to explain to us, can a HOA legally take your house? Is that all right for them to do? So, Harry Marsh. All right, these HOA situations. All right, so first things first, let's start off simple. Can a HOA take your house?
They definitely can. And in the United States, there's two general ways that states run their HOAs. It's called super priority or not. Super priority is where the HOA beats everyone. They can foreclose on the house, take that house, even take it from the mortgage company. They can be in front of those and basically say the mortgage is no good. They are now the owner. North Carolina is not one of those. North Carolina, there's regular priority rules for an HOA. They can foreclose, kick the owner out of the house. They don't beat the mortgage though, so the mortgage can later foreclose and take it from the HOA. But the HOA can take the house, rent it, do whatever they can to get paid back their money. So what you were talking about is, that's probably a special assessment is what they're talking about, like a condo or something like that, where the HOA coffers say they have $5,000, but then they find out 30 years later they need a new roof, or they need asbestos remediation, or there's some kind of other dire problem. I think there was one in Charlotte that was famous, a lake needed a new dam. It was like overflowing and threatening the place, and that was going to be a couple $100,000. So yeah, all the people in there got a $8,000 special assessment put on them that was unexpected. Usually they'll work with you and give you like a payment plan or something like that. But certainly HOAs can take your house. They'll file a lien against you stating you owe X amount of dollars. If you don't pay it or work with them to get a payment plan, they can foreclose and throw it down at the courthouse to be bid upon, where an investor like yourself could go buy that HOA lien, potentially evict the owner, and you become the owner. You might be the owner subject to the mortgage. You know, the mortgage might be before you and have power over you, but you're technically the owner.
There has, early on in my real estate investing career, there has been some deals I passed on that were in an HOA, townhomes, in an HOA, price were cheap. I didn't know it was cheap then, but you're looking back and you're like, man, I could have bought that for $30,000. Yeah, they had a $75 HOA fee, but it rented for $800, and now that $30,000 townhouse is at minimum $120, depending on the square footage. Could be more, you know. So typically it's not less inside of Charlotte. Charlotte's insane, but I personally think that they can be a good investment if you understand the risk that you're taking going in, and you okay with that. I've had lenders not loan a house, not loan to me because of HOAs involved, and they don't want any mess, meaning that if they lend me some money and the HOA does a special assessment, they understand like now they're stuck with the property and it's a potential that they might can get it back, and you know. So these things happen, but you brung up something. You said even if the person, let's say that the townhouse is worth $150,000 and it's $150,000 owned on the mortgage, but the HOA wants to foreclose. You said that they can basically take ownership of that.
Yep.
And now they own that piece of property. Mm-hmm. Let's say they don't take it back, it goes to auction, it gets bid on. Mm-hmm. The person who bids on that now owns the property. Yep. And they can do whatever they need to do with it.
Yeah, it's an interesting investing world, buying and selling HOAs, HOA foreclosures. There's not many people that do it because it's complicated. The issue that you need to figure out is there a mortgage. There might be two mortgages. There might be judgments. There might be other liens against the property. So it's definitely an advanced investor world where you have to be savvy and know what's going on. You have to take calculated risks sometimes. You know, HOA foreclosures might only sell for $3,000 or $4,000 down at the courthouse.
Yes.
Because they know that there's a mortgage before there, so they're not getting good title. That mortgage company will probably foreclose on you eventually and take the property from you. But some people are making the calculated guess or judgment that maybe they can rent it for 3 years before the first mortgage forecloses. So if they only paid $3,000 for it and they can make 3 years worth of rent payments, they're doing pretty well. Or maybe there's even a more clever investor in Charlotte, for example. He'll buy HOA foreclosures, let's say $3,000. Then he goes to the people living on the property and says, I just bought your HOA foreclosure, I now own your house. I'm going to kick you out unless you pay me $10,000. So he actually sells the property back to the people that are living in it, or gives them a payment plan where he gets paid more than he paid. It's a crazy world. Really creative people doing creative things. His first thing that he does is go to their front door, say, I now own your house, whether they knew or not. And he'll try to ask them how much their mortgage is. They're usually dumb enough to tell him. And immediately he knows how much equity they have in the house and how much he stands to maybe gain by this. If it's worth $200,000 or $300,000 and they say our mortgage is only $80,000, he's going to smile if he just paid $3,000 for that house. Because even if it gets foreclosed on by that mortgage company, he's the owner and he might have made a lot of money in equity.
Yeah.
If that gets foreclosed on by the first mortgage, he's the owner. There might be $100,000 worth of equity there down at the courthouse that he could go try to claim. So there's a lot of balancing. You as an investor looking at these files, you've got to either do your own title search or have your attorney do it, and then you're kind of guessing how much you owed on the mortgage, or you negotiate with the homeowner and mutually have a beneficial situation. One interesting thing I'd point out: North Carolina HOAs can fine you up to $100 per day. So you could actually, like something as simple as your trash can in front of your house, $100 fine. I've seen situations where there's been $121,000 in HOA fees and liens against the property for something as stupid as a trash can in front of the house for a year or two. So if you're an investor and your tenant has the trash can in front of the house for 2 years, the HOA is supposed to let you know. But let's say all the mail and everything goes to that property instead of to you, the landlord. You might not know. You could lose your house over an HOA issue that you didn't even know anything about. And that's one of the reasons some loan companies don't like to lend to HOA kind of things, or hard money lenders and everything. HOAs come with their own risk.
There's a guy, let's say Investor A. Investor A goes down to the courthouse and buys an HOA. He bids on HOA $3,000. He wins. He now owns that property. So then he goes, knocks on the door. And he says, hey, my name is such and such. Well, I bid on this at the auction, and I now own your house. And so, hey, listen, I just want to work with you guys, see what we can do, man. But by curious, how much you owe on your property? And they tell him $80,000. Okay, you owe $80,000, and he knows as an investor, okay, this is worth $300,000. So he understands at that particular point, well, if they don't pay their mortgage, right? If they say, well, since we don't own the house, we're not paying this no more, and they walk away and don't pay their mortgage, it goes to auction. He understands and let's say at auction, because for the last 4 or 5 years in Charlotte, it's been insane. So let's say it's $300,000 property, got $280,000, right? $280,000 at the auction. It was $80,000 owed. So out of that $280,000, the first mortgage gets settled, the clerks, the foreclosure fees, all that gets settled. He gets the excess.
Yeah. Yep, it's called excess or surplus proceeds. People don't understand that when a property is foreclosed upon, the mortgage company gets paid. But if it's bid upon higher than what the mortgage company is owed, the mortgage company doesn't get that money. They don't keep it. They just get paid whatever they're owed. That money is sitting down at the clerk of court for someone to claim. The owner, even if they're foreclosed upon, can file an action to go get that money at the courthouse. So whoever the owner is, that money is sitting down there for them. And that's a business model in itself. People down at the courthouse looking for excess surplus proceeds. Because a lot of people think that when a property is foreclosed upon, it's done and gone and they get nothing. Now, a lot of the times the payments are so high or they're so far behind in payments, there is no money, there's no equity left. In that situation, sure, there's no money at the courthouse. But a lot of the times there is money down there. And that's up to the owner to go claim it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And I've seen this happen before. The property was literally in downtown Charlotte. We all went to her house. I could never catch her. We all went to her house, tried to call her. The property was literally downtown. It was in that area of the courthouse downtown. Apparently, back in like 98, 99, they did some affordable houses in that area and sold these people these houses that are worth, like sold to them at the time, like $100,000. 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's nice, very nice, right? Changing the look of downtown 23 years ago. So when this situation, the house was worth about $400K. The house is literally in downtown. I'm sure it's probably worth about $600-700 now, but it was $400,000. And my friend was able to get in touch with the lady, and she came across a hard time working part-time at Target. And she told them, she said, hey, I'm not selling. I talked to my realtor friend. I owe $100,000. The bid right now is at $300,000. He told me not to sell to any of y'all and just let it go to foreclosure so I can get the surplus money. And that's what she was going to do. That's what she did because everyone was going crazy trying to get this property, and she knew that she was going to get the excess. Do you know if it showed off paid on her credit, or would it still show the foreclosure after everything's paid off at the auction?
It will actually show that she was foreclosed upon on her credit, I believe. But yes, the debt is paid off as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, and she gets the excess, but majority, I would say about 95% of people don't know that information. So they'll move along somewhere else and they'll have unclaimed money. And from what I heard, with the unclaimed money, it goes to the state.
If they don't claim it within a certain number of years, it's held at that county level. Yes, they send it to the state. They call it S-cheat to the state. Basically, no one wants this money, the state gets it.
Now, the state gets to keep, or can I still come and get it from the state?
I think there's 7 years where you can go claim it yourself.
Only 7.
But if you don't, I think the state gets it.
Okay, so now I know federally there's an unclaimed money site. So guys, if you have a family member, your parents, your immediate family, your parents, or whatever, you might want to check to see if there's some money owed to you that they're holding. So this on the federal level, there's an unclaimed money site. I had a friend, he had about $1,100 or $1,200 from an old Bank of America account because he didn't have any transactions on it for X amount of years. So Bank of America closed out the account because I used to work in banking. When you don't have any activity in your account and your money is literally just being held there with nothing in a checking account, it's actually costing them money via statements and everything else. To hold your money, they're not making anything off you. There's nothing coming in and out. So therefore, they end up closing out his account and sending the money to the state. But he was able to go to the state and get a check for that guy. So just make sure you check that. Now, back to the HOA thing. Me personally, like you said, that's an advanced strategy. I've never done it. I've been full-time in real estate since 2010. I've been involved in real estate since 2007. I never done it because I think that in order for you to go down to that auction to bid on HOAs or whether it be a foreclosure, you need to know how to do a title search.
Yeah.
Because you can get screwed down there. And I heard the stories.
Yeah, you can do a title search and see there's a mortgage from 1998, for example, and the mortgage originally was the following amount. But you as an investor, you don't know if they're current on the payments or if they've missed the last 5 years of payments. So there could be $80,000 in arrears, the amount that is owed on top of all that, or it could be underwater. There could be $80,000 in equity, or it could be $80,000 underwater. You don't know because you're not that homeowner. You're not allowed to call the bank and say how much is owed on this. the bank should tell you that's not your information. This is private and confidential. We're not going to give it to anyone but the homeowner. So that's why that guy was clever, and he'd go to the door and say, how much do you owe, before he was in a bad situation with the homeowner. And I don't know that I want to try to encourage you to do this HOA investing, but if that's your MO, if that's what you want your niche to be, it's an interesting world. It is risky and stressful. Yeah. That first phone call or knock on the door, they're friendly and you're all friendly. But the minute they hear that you're potentially threatening to kick them out of the house or try to split their equity with them or take the house from them, they're calling their own lawyer, they're threatening you back, they're calling the Attorney General, Better Business, everyone they can try to call to get you in trouble. Even though you did nothing wrong, they're going to try to get you in trouble. So it's practice area for investors that's fraught with lawsuits and stress and unhappy people. Now, you're going to make some money, but you're going to lose some too. Even if there's $200,000 in equity, you probably need to try to work with the homeowner, because you don't want them trying to file a lawsuit to undo the foreclosure. Maybe they said they never got notice. Maybe there was a fraudulent filing in the foreclosure, or the wrong document was filed, or notice wasn't given. It's something that a lot of lawsuits are filed over, and that's why a lot of investors don't do it, because it's complicated and risky. There's a lot of money to be made, but it's not all a cakewalk.
And just to add to that, the lawsuits reporting to the state, Better Business Bureau, there have been, I remember one in particular that stands out, did end up on the news doing this. So if you're someone who doesn't want any negative press, by doing this, keep in mind, you're walking into the fire. You're literally walking into the fire. So, just make sure you understand everything that's coming. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, it can work out once or twice or three times, but then, you're going to be in court fighting. If they get an attorney, you're going to have to get an attorney to, explain. If they go to the news, then, hey, what are you doing to the consumer? The state protects the consumer as they should. So what are you doing to the consumer? So just keep in mind, but comment below, would you do that strategy? Will you buy HOA liens at the courthouse? Is that something you do? Wrapping up, Harry, with this, the HOAs have all of this power. Who has more power? If the person has back taxes and the HOA foreclose, can the back taxes foreclose on them?
Yes. The way that the world works is the USA government is number one. They beat everyone.
They beat everyone.
So if they have a crazy criminal judgment for drug trafficking or anything, they can beat anyone they want. Beyond them, property taxes usually wins. There's actually city liens kind of beat property taxes sometimes. The city is the best. The county is the second best. Mortgages are usually third best in North Carolina. And then HOAs are at the very end of that. So HOAs lose to property taxes or mortgages.
Okay.
In our state, again, a super priority state, an HOA might win.
Gotcha.
Completely different. But yeah, that power thing was another thing you were talking about earlier about lenders not wanting to give it to HOAs. HOAs can pass things that say things like, an Airbnb or short-term rental might not be legal on this property.
Absolutely.
Or they can, reduce the restrictive covenants to say that, only so many of the properties can be rented and the rest of them have to be primary occupancy. So yeah, they have a lot of power over the people that are in them. And again, some of the risk that lenders evaluate whether they're going to give a loan.
I'm looking at a development now that HOA is saying no rentals allowed year one.
Yeah.
To keep out investors. They want to keep out investors and keep the community allowed. And some say no rentals on, no rentals at all, no short-term rentals, any of that. They have the power. So a lot of in the secondary market, sometimes the lenders are like, nah, I don't want to touch that, because HOAs can get tricky and they know that their money going to get caught up. And let's say you're paying them for 3 years, which is all fine and then they're making money on their money, but they understand reality. Eventually it's going to end, because you're going to get tired of paying them 15, 17, 18%. Then you're just going to not pay them. They got to take the property and go back through that. So it's easier if they have easier deals to go after, it just makes so much sense. Harry, tell the people how can they get in touch with Harry Marsh Law to do business with you, and what states you operate in.
We operate North and South Carolina. The website, www.harrymarshalaw.com, is easiest to get a hold of us. Or maybe Facebook, add me as a friend, Harry Marsh. I'll give you my cell phone number. You can text, call, Facebook message. I try to be easy to get a hold of because I want you to do deals, send us closings. It's how we make money and how you make money. We'll try to cooperate and be as much of a partner as we can.
There you have it, guys. I'm Nasser, aka the Real Estate Doru. I'm not a guru, I'm a Doru because I actually do this business. Please comment below. Let me know, would you do that? Would you buy HOA liens at the courthouse? And watch this last video we did with Harry Marsh explaining title insurance, man. Peace.